kick it.
It's candy. She's just so candy.
Hey! Oh, how are you?
Doing good. I'm doing good. Let me just say, this is my first Instagram live, so you have to teach me along the way here.
Oh, that's all right, cool. Thank you so much. Oh my gosh. When I first started this, I didn't know how to do it either. So now I know.
You say it again?
I said when I first started this, I didn't know how to do it either. So that's why I wanted to make sure. I was like, okay, I got to tell people to send me a request
Right,
to get in.
right.
How are you doing?
I'm doing good. You know, just chillaxing and waiting for well, watching the news and the people and just educating myself. You know, there's so much information out there.
Yes, yes.
So
I'm gonna go ahead and bring you in properly. So give me one moment, okay?
all right.
I also have this actually doing, I usually do the live also in my recording studio too. So you'll see me kind of going back and forth from the camera to also to the phone for the IG live, okay?
So we'll play it by ear here.
All right. Welcome, guys, to another episode of The Candy Show. I am your host, Candy, and I have a special guest, and I am so honored. I am so honored, and I'm just going to go like this right now. Just, I'm giving the props here. I'm giving the props. Guys, I want you to welcome one of my original guests from one of my groups that I had grew up on. Guys, legendary Climaxx R&B funk band. I have Miss Cheryl Cooley, guitarist. I want you, everybody, just give a hands up. Yes, yes, yes. Give it up. Yes to Miss Cheryl Cooley's in the house. Miss Cheryl, thank you so much again. I'm going to say I appreciate this opportunity so much. I appreciate it.
Oh, thank you. I'm really excited to be on the show. I'm excited to be on my first Instagram show, and it's with you. So I'm honored myself.
Thank you so much. Where are you coming from today?
I'm in Los Angeles, California.
Okay, to tell us what is it going on? What's going on out there? You know, with everything with the virus and the riots. Tell me what the climate's like out there.
Well, actually, right now it's calm. Earlier in the week, there was a riot north of me and south of me. There was all going on. I'm not too far from downtown Los Angeles, and I'm not too far from Hollywood, and not too far from Beverly Hills. So they were all kind of going. Each day there was something going on, but it's pretty calm now. There are definitely a lot of demonstrations going on in different parts of the city. We've been watching, a lot of things on the news as far as what's going on near me, and everybody's really kind of what's this?
On edge, anxious.
Yeah, just kind of coming together. And it's really great to see that, it's all ethnicities, and then that part really, it really moves me. I'm really happy about that because I'm in an area that there's, many, many races around, and all of us are coming together to really support each other and check on each other. That's another thing, neighbors checking on each other. And there's a lot of fruit trees and vegetable trees, and, people say, you got something to eat, come to my tree and pick something, So it's been great. A lot of support. Yeah.
It's definitely time for unity. Definitely time for unity and support.
Yeah.
So how have you been doing? Let's skip from the riots, but how have you been doing since the COVID started? Tell us about what's going on. What have you been doing?
Oh, I've been doing well. Really been doing well. I mean, I've been staying in. As they say, stay close to home. I actually have the rehearsal rooms for Climax built on my house. So we haven't rehearsed since, mid-March. That kind of makes me a little lonely that I haven't seen the band. But,
Oh, wow.
the texting or, video and all. But I've been doing good. I can't complain. I'm doing good. Doing good.
Yes, definitely always nice. And at this type of time, you realize how it's important to have a physical being around you.
Yeah.
Definitely, you sometimes you're on the phone, but like, girl, I don't really feel like talking. But now it's like you have no other choice but to talk on the phone to stay connected, or on Zoom calls, or something like an IG live.
Right, right. Yeah, definitely the whole being able to see you on the phone, a Zoom, like you said, Instagram, all those type of applications, are really helpful to
Hmm.
stay connected, and beat the loneliness. I mean, I don't want to say loneliness, but, you feel a sense of isolation. And then when you're able to actually see the person and talk with them and see their facial expressions and their movements, that kind of gives you a sense of, camaraderie. So it's been,
Right.
yeah.
So give us a little bit of background on Climax. Tell us. Now I'm going to say this, and I have to be very honest. As I was doing my research,
Oh,
so
you can't believe it.
I'm a fairly young lady, but as I was doing my research, I didn't realize that you guys actually came out in the late 70s, early 80s. So tell us a bit about Climax, when it got started, and how did you come up with the name?
Yeah. Well, it's interesting. At the time, I had recently graduated college, and I was, trying to kind of feel my way around the professional music industry. And I happened to be playing at a rehearsal hall with another band, and a couple of the girls that were, trying to get the whole concept together just walked in and said, "Hey, you don't want to be in this band? You want to be in our band? We have an all-female band called Climax." And I was like, "Okay." So they, asked me to come to the next rehearsal, and I was really reluctant about going. I have to admit that. And matter of fact, I missed the first time they invited me, and I got the guilt, and I called them and came the next time. And they were having fun. That was the main thing. They were having fun. They may not have had the college degree in music like I did, but they were having fun. And then everybody in the band has their own story. I mean, one girl we got from the newspaper that sold old refrigerators and stuff like that, the recycler. Another girl, she had originally auditioned for the group Rolls Royce, and they told her she sang too strong for their music, so they sent her over to Climax. And word of mouth, knocking on doors, just really kind of hunting down. I mean, it was before the internet, so it wasn't like we could search or anything. We really had to take like calls and ask friends. And I'll just say that that first time that all of us were in that rehearsal room, we didn't know each other. We had never played with each other, but the chemistry was there. And so once we started playing different songs and getting to know each other's musical style, it was just like magic. I mean, like the first rehearsal I was there, like November, December of '79, and I was working in a bank at the time, and I was telling my supervisor about this all-girl band I was in. And she said, "Well, if you give me a demo tape and a picture, I'll give it to my uncle. He's a producer for Peebo Bryson." And so I said, "Okay." So we gave her this demo tape, and she took it to her uncle, and he played it, and he didn't like it. When one door closes, that doesn't mean another door won't open.
That's right.
Okay.
That's right.
So he happened to be having lunch with one of the vice presidents of Solar Records, and he gave her the tape and the picture, and he said, "Yeah, I know this all-girl band. I don't think they're that good, but maybe you can do something." But she played the demo tape and looked at the pictures, and she loved the idea. She came to our rehearsal room. She was all smiles. And let me say, within two to 3 months, we were signed to Solar Records. So again, I mean, it doesn't, just because one person says no, that doesn't mean somebody else won't say yes. And I keep telling new artists that, just keep going, keep going. You just never know when you get that one yes. And so once we were signed to Solar Records, I mean, we were in the studio doing our first album called Never Underestimate the Power of a Woman.
Yes.
I wrote the music to that. That was actually the song that got us the record deal. And then our next album was called Girls Will Be Girls, and we happened to be working with these two new producers by the name of Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis.
So before we go into that part of the interview, tell everyone, how did you, as Shirley Cooley, how did you get into the music piece of it? So before Climax came along, what was going on before that?
Oh, sure, yeah. Well, for some reason, my mom would always give me a guitar every other Christmas. I mean, under the Christmas tree was always a little guitar. So my sister, who was actually 16 years older than me, she happened to be married to a jazz musician by the name of Hubert Laws. And
Okay.
he had a guitar, but he's a professional flautist. And so I ran in and I had my little guitar and I was kind of playing it and it had accidentally tuned itself to a TV show. And so my sister heard it and she just jumped up and said, "Why don't we get Cheryl some guitar lessons?" And so, at age 11, I started taking guitar lessons. I enjoyed it. Like I said, my sister and I were such a big age gap that it was like we were the only child in the same family. So the guitar was a playmate. So I took guitar lessons, private guitar lessons. I studied in school. I learned theory and how to write music, how to arrange music. I used to arrange music for the marching band in my high school, and then I majored in music in college. And with all of that training and everything, that's how I was prepared to run into Climax and have a perfect storm.
Now, when you were already in the music game, as far as all that experience concerned, by just being Miss Cheryl Cooley prior to being in Climax, was it difficult for anyone to accept you because you were a woman trying to do those things, especially being a guitar player?
Oh, child, yeah.
Well, tell us.
It was at a time where, funk bands had, guitars and bass and horns and stuff. So, a girl playing a guitar, they didn't take me seriously until I played, and it was like, "Oh, well, you can really play. You play like a guy. You can really play." But it was always that they had to qualify my talent by comparing me to what, how guys play. Because, in other words, they were expecting me to, like, play folk songs.
That's a little boring. I'm sorry, just a little boring.
I mean, luckily I had music teachers that were teaching me songs that were on the radio. So that's how I learned how to play folk music. And so I played in school, and some of the guys, they wouldn't let me play in their bands in school. Like, "Oh, no, I don't want you to, you're a girl. I don't want you to play in school. I mean, in my band." But I just kept at it until finally I ran into a community band, a Compton community band, and I started playing jazz, where you sit down and you read the music charts and everything. And from that, my skills developed and ran into other musicians and said, "Hey, I got this band over here. Let's play over here. Let's play over there." So I really got a chance to feel how to network and play in what they call the chitlin circuit or the cover band circuit. So I learned my skills there. And there was some times when they weren't expecting me to play, well, like, "Oh, she's a girl, she's not going to be able to play." And then when I start playing, and sometimes they would have to eat crow, and some of them would just walk away because they didn't want to admit their mistake.
Right.
But I mean, I don't have any horror stories. It's just a thing of your talent speaks for itself. If you don't
Yes.
have the skills, if you have the training, if you have the talent, people can't deny you. So they couldn't deny me. I mean, they may have tried to ignore me, but my talent still spoke for itself. My training still spoke for itself. So, I got through a lot of barriers. And I would just have to cut myself and say, I was really too stupid to know they were trying to stop me.
But you know what? But that's what happens. And then for whatever reason, I'm also finding the same thing. It's really hard for women to make a name for themselves in the business without having to prove themselves. It's like, can you just not see what I have and go on? No, I have to continuously prove myself. And so that's why I want to make sure I ask that question.
Yeah.
And going into the Climax era, once you guys got into the band, did you also have that same barrier as well? Was it hard for people to want to take you guys serious at the time? An all-female band? Come on now. That's never heard of.
Well, we signed a contract so fast being together, we didn't have a long period of time to be rejected. However, there were a couple of club gigs that we did. Matter of fact, there was one club where it was like talent night. And you come in and, you just take the mic and sing with the house band. And so we went in and we said, well, we're a band, but we need to use the house band's instruments because we can't bring our instruments in. And they were like, no, you're not going to touch my instrument. You don't know how to play. And so one of the girls talked to the club owner and was trying to explain that we were all girl band and just give us a chance, right? So finally, the club owner went over to the band and said, well, let them use their instrument. We can have a good laugh. So we play, and you could just hear a pin drop. They were so stunned that we could actually play. We could actually entertain. We could actually command the audience and play the song like they, understood it or recognized it. So that was really the only time that we kind of got a barrier. But once we proved ourselves, then the word got out that, look out for that all girl band. They play good, so you might want to keep away from them. Just a jealous. So
Now you mentioned never underestimate a woman. And that was your first
yeah.
album?
First single, first album, and again, like I said, that was the record, the song that got us the record deal. Once they heard that, it was like they had an idea of how they could signature Climax. Like women's empowerment. Playing funk music with a message. Playing R&B music with a message. So that song really kind of was a light bulb for the record company to understand how to market us. Now. Mm-hmm. Our first album, Never Underestimate, and our second album, Girls Be Girls, they didn't make a big impact because people weren't ready for an all-girl band. You hear about it, you see the picture, and it just didn't register for them. It really didn't take until video came out with our album Meeting in the Ladies' Room, that we were actually, people could actually visually see what an all-girl band was going to look like on stage. So once video came out, we had that song out, then it was like, our success just shot through the roof. It was like, oh, now I get it. An all-girl band singing Meeting in the Ladies' Room.
Well, and that's the reason why I said I had to confess it, because I had never heard about the first two albums. All I heard about was Meeting in the Ladies' Room because of the video era had started. And that to me was the first time I heard of Klymaxx.
Right.
And looking on TV and not really seeing as many women, number one. Number two, an all-women band. But then not really knowing you were just a band, because at that time, at my young age, I was thinking, oh, they're just up there just acting like they playing the instruments. And they were just, being marketed like that. So I didn't know at that time. But I thought it was cool. And that's one thing that just stuck towards me, was like, oh, nice. Because, quote me if I'm wrong, but you guys were the only band out there, all women's band out there like that, right? Or
even as a what? Climax is still known as the only all-female R&B funk band that is charted on Billboard.
Nice.
There may be a couple of rock bands, but as far as R&B and funk, Climax is the only one that's really charted on Billboard, and definitely with high numbers.
Well, congratulations. Yes. And I will say I'm so like ecstatic about this interview, because number one, I love bands. I love live bands. That's number one. I also have family members that are part of bands. Either they're the bass guitar or they're guitarists. Tell us, how do we actually, if we put a title on you, what is your title? Are you a lead guitarist? Are you a guitarist? Tell me, what is your proper description?
I just say guitarist, but a lot of people, they put lead guitarist on it. And I don't care. If they want to say lead guitarist, that's fine, because I play both lead and rhythm, so I just consider myself, a guitarist. Then some people want to identify and say electric guitarist. Because some people think I'm just playing folk music and playing a box guitar when I'm not. So guitarist is fine. That's what I refer to. Or my friends call me oh God, I got some kind of name of funk guitar goddess or something like that.
Well, now let's talk about Meeting in the Ladies' Room. Let's talk about that. Now, before that album came along, who was your writing team on the other two albums?
Right. Okay. So the first album, a couple of guys from Lakeside, Stephen Shockley and Otis Stokes, they did a lot of the writing on the album, and they were the producers. They were like our first producers that we really worked with, and they were also Solar artists, Solar record artists. Just like the song "Meeting in the Ladies Room" was written by Midnight Star, and they were also on Solar Records. So yeah, we worked with Otis and Steve on the first album. The second album, we worked with Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis on a couple of songs, and they were the new producers at the time. I think we were their first project outside of the time that they produced. And we got a chance to actually write a couple of songs on the album. I mean, every album, we always had some song that somebody in the band wrote. So we were able to contribute not only to the writing and composing part, but also the production part as we learned the business more and more. And then, of course, the Meeting in a Ladies Room album, I mean, we just kind of had a hodgepodge of a whole bunch of people putting songs on. And then the fourth album, just entitled Climax, the band produced it and wrote most of the material.
We're going to talk about the first two albums.
Okay.
I noticed that on that, and I don't know if this is actually still true to the game now. It seemed like back then, when you as an artist got a chance to actually really get more involved in on your projects, it seemed like it was after your sophomore project, maybe your sophomore project. But tell us, you said all of your albums pretty much you guys wrote in on it, but did it seem like maybe you guys didn't get that much leadway until after your sophomore album?
Yeah, I mean, we had to learn the business. We had to learn production. We had to learn, what was commercially acceptable. So, yeah, I would say the first two albums was like we were in training. And not in a bad way, because one of the things at Solar Records is that it was a family, and all the artists were always, coming into the sessions and giving their, their support and their, ideas and their teaching, what they learned from being an artist. So all the artists at Solar Records were always teaching us something new, until we finally, got proficient and confident enough, each album that we could finally do our own production and stuff. I mean, there were, song qualities or song catches or, a hook. Everybody talks about the hook. They taught us how to really make a memorable hook. Because the thing about, and for all the all the new artists out there, all the new artists out there, the one thing that Solar taught us is that you want to write a song so that when somebody turns off the radio, they still sing it in their heads 5, 10, 20 minutes later. You always want to write something that people are just going to, as they call it, hook into. So you want to write something that people are going to start singing all day, tell their friends about. That's really what makes a successful song, is that something that you can pull your artist into. Even if it's writing about a life situation, like Meeting in the Ladies Room, that's a life situation. The men all pause when I step into the room. So, you write songs like that where people can relate to their life experience, or a hook and a melody where they, just it keeps going on and on their head. You have songs that you remember, you go, oh, I wish I could get that song out of my head.
Oh yes, most definitely. And you know what? With the radio playing it all the time, they did nothing but just jam it in your head. You had no other choice but to remember certain songs. Now let's talk about Meeting in the Ladies Room. Tell us a little bit about the inspiration behind that, the writers on your album, and tell us what that experience was as far as being able to have more of a influence and more of a hands-on in the album for the whole entire group.
Sure. Well, Meeting in a Ladies Room, like I said, was a real life situation. One of the guys in Midnight Star, who was on Solar Records with us, was at a club with his girlfriend. And one of the girls from Climax happened to come in the club and saw him and was excited, since we were label mates. And she ran over to him and hugged and kissed him. And the girlfriend was like, oh, who is this girl all over my man? So she got up from the table and went to the ladies' room because she was mad about it. And so he thought, oh, that's a good idea for a song, Meeting in the Ladies' Room. So they wrote that song for Climax. And, the production.
Well, if somebody was to say that we know what that meant when we about to go to the bathroom. I'll be right back. So we already know. Take them earrings off and but I suspect you guys came out Oh, A-OK, right?
Oh yeah. I mean, just the title at that time, it was an unusual title. So because it was an unusual title, people would want to listen to like, well, what you gonna talk about going to the ladies' room? What could possibly be happening there? So
Pattern.
yeah, yeah.
And then now I have to admit, the one of the songs that just stick in my head, and I actually apply that today. Pause. Tell us about that.
Okay, yeah, sure. Well, Men All Falls was actually written by the drummer and the bass player in the band, and we were rehearsing. We used to rehearse like 3 or 4 days a week, and so we were rehearsing, and it got intense. And one of the girls said, "Oh, I'm hot. I think I'm having a hot flash." But at that time, that age, we hadn't right. So she said, "Oh, we should write a song about menopause." It was like, we never been through menopause to write a song about it. And we said, "Well, how about we say the men all pause?" So that's how that happened.
And let me tell you, when I said that I apply it today, because let's be honest, ladies, we know when we looking good. We know when we looking good and you ready to step out in the club. And matter of fact, before you even go out to your car, you like, oh, I know yeah, the men are all gonna pause today. And I'm gonna be honest, there's been some times where I felt like that. And and every time when I think about that, I think about you guys' song.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
I've had some heads turn. I'm just gonna say that.
Walk into the room.
Exactly. Listen, men and women, shoot. I had some good days. Well, I tell you that, some good days. I ain't even gonna lie. Hey, well, listen, I tell the truth. Just be honest. Now, tell us about the group members, the your past group members, so everybody can get familiar with everybody who was in the group.
Right, right. Well, on keys we had Lynn Malsey and Robin Greider. On vocals we had Lorena Stewart. On bass we had Joyce Irby, and on drums we had Bernadette Cooper, and I'm on guitar, Cheryl Cooley.
Nice, nice. Now, the videos. You guys seem like you had an amazing time shooting the videos, from the wardrobe to the actual videos itself. Cause I'm a dancer. If you just want to let you know, I'm a dancer. So the video where you had the pop locker, he was doing this in the chair the whole entire time. Yes, yes, yes. So tell us about how the climate was when you guys were actually shooting the videos.
Well, again, when we did videos, it was something brand new. It was a new adventure. So uh, we didn't have a lot of expectations. We just kind of went with the flow because it was something new. But there's a lot of hours put into making a video. At least at that time it was. Sometimes a video filming could last all day. And I mean, being a solar, you had to finish it in one day. You couldn't do like, a Michael Jackson thing where you could do one video in a whole week. You had to
Oh,
get
wow.
everything. So it was strenuous, but it was still exciting. And you had to go. Sometimes you had to go to multiple scenes, or venues like, the Men All Paws. We were at a actual fat burger that was on Pico and Brea in Los Angeles. It's not there anymore, but it was there. It's now Roscoe.
Oh, Roscoe's chicken?
Yes.
Okay, I know where that's at.
And then, we had to be in another scene for Men All Paws. We were actually in a club. So, sometimes we had to change locations to get that right shot. So that's why everything had to be done in a day. It was very tiring, I will say that, but it was still exciting because it was a contribution to your catalog, to your legacy, to your music, to your fans. I mean, everything was involved. So yeah, it was tiring, but it was also exciting. And some videos, we finished the video, go home, get your suitcase, jump on a plane to go meet the tour bus. I mean, it was just like that. Boom, boom, boom.
Mhm.
Um, we had a lot of things to do sometimes in a scheduled day, but it was still all part of the package. It was still a dream come true for me. I mean, this was something that I had seen myself doing, when I was, I don't know, 7 or 8 years old. I mean, I saw myself on stage playing the guitar. This is before I even took guitar lessons. I saw myself on stage playing guitar. The lights were going, the music was going. I was getting ready to step up to the microphone and sing my first note. And then I looked over to the right at the band and I thought, that's kind of odd, but I couldn't picture what it was. So I just kept singing my notes, right? So about, whatever, 10 years later, I guess, 10, 15 years later, we're performing at the Olympic Auditorium in downtown Los Angeles. The music was going, the lights were going, I'm playing guitar, and all of a sudden I realized I am living that dream. I am living that dream exactly like I saw it. And so I thought, well, let me look over to my right where the band was to see what it was that I couldn't understand. And when I looked over, it's like, oh, an all-female band. So Climax really was a dream come true for me. So that all of that together and doing videos, it's like a dream come true. It's like all those parts put together to make the product, Climax.
So your albums, your first couple of albums, you guys pretty much dropped like back to back, like what, a year behind each other. Why did it take the Men All Pause, the meeting in the ladies' room? Why did that take a longer period of time?
Well, one of the things that Solar Records was going through was a distributor to really believe in Climax and put the music out. The first distributor they had was RCA. They only put out so much product because they didn't believe it was a viable product. Product meaning, the band Climax. The second distributor was Warner Electra Asylum. And, they were kind of the same way. Well, we don't think an all-girl band is going to be successful. And then so it was a period of time where, Solar was trying to shop around for a distributor that would really believe in promoting this all-girl band Climax. After all, at that time, to have an all-girl band Climax was a little risque. Like,
Right.
So they happened to get involved with MCA Records, who believed in the whole product of Climax, the all-female band with a record called Meeting in the Ladies' Room. So it took time to really find the perfect combination of all the entities involved to really promote Climax to what we know it today.
Why did Miss Bernadette Cooper wear one earring? I wanted to know that. I've been wanting to know that for years.
Well, it was really the beginning of that style then. It was really the beginning of that style. So that's probably why. She was very
Okay.
as far as fashion and stuff. So yeah, I can see why she would do that.
Did you guys have any concerns from family members or any relationships, especially being an all-female band? Did you guys have any relationship concerns about the men, maybe feeling a little bit unmanly or,
We got to
did they feel intimidated?
Yeah, that did happen. I mean, one of the girls actually got married during that time. But, guys, yeah, they were a little like, you're going to go on tour and all those people are going to be screaming at you and, I can handle that. I mean, some guys will just be upfront about it. How to be in a relationship with them, and then they realize how much of a demand that's on your schedule and you don't have a lot of time for them, then they start backing off. They start finding faults in all the things going on. So I wouldn't want to say it takes a strong man to deal with that, but I would say it would take an understanding man to do that. Because we're all going to have our flaws. We're all going to have our little insecurities up and down. But when you really believe in somebody, your partner's career, because your partner's career is usually tied into their life purpose. So when you are supportive of your partner's life purpose, passion, career, and you'll accept whatever the ups and downs are. You'll accept whatever it is that the demands on their time or demands on their travel. And with that combination, when with a supporting system, a supporting partner, your success can be not only a solid foundation and held up, solidified, but you also have the emotional support where being an artist, you're very sensitive. I mean, you're sensitive about, I don't know, the sun coming up on the wrong side of the window, and a lot of people, I don't want to say lay people, but a lot of people with just normal jobs, they don't understand the sensitivity that goes on with being an artist. And a lot of times they don't not only understand, but accept it to be normal for an artist. And it is. Mm-hmm. Artists are very sensitive. Artists are very on edge all the time when it comes to, do I feel good? Do I not feel good? Do I like this groove? Do I not like this groove? Do I like this lick? Do I not like this lick? Do I like this shirt? Do I like this? It's all of that back and forth. And a partner really has to accept that about them because it's all the same package. It's all the same person. There's nothing in reflection about that partner, but that's just the person that they are. Artists are very flexible, fluctuating constantly. And in a relationship that you really have to understand that. So yeah, there were some times where, I Miss You was about a breakup with one of the girls. She had a breakup. She wrote I Miss You and wrote a hit song, so some pain can bring you some prosperity too.
And you know what? That was actually one of the things that I was going to talk to you about regarding what's going on right now in this time in the day. What's going on with everything? Do you feel like music is going to be better? Because like you just said, sometimes there are cases in our lives in the world that impacts music, and you can just definitely tell at the time something was going on when this particular song was made, especially like with Marvin Gaye. What's going on? Those types of timeless songs that still are applicable because these things are still going on in the world. So do you think that the music is going to change? Is it going to be the same? What is your opinion?
Well, there's two parts to that because one of the things that current music lacks is the training and the teaching that schools used to have. A lot of musicians out there, that's the only way they learned is to go to school and learn it. A lot of parents couldn't afford private lessons, so they had to learn it at school. So when they took the music out of the school, thanks to our friend Mr. Bill Clinton, a lot of artists weren't able to learn how those rudiments, how to pick up a guitar, how to pick up a bass. So, when the technology came in, and all you needed was a keyboard and some push buttons, that's all they had to be able to write songs, and that's what we're hearing now. Now, as far as what is happening now, people have been cooped up in the house for some time, and a lot of musicians, all they had was time to be able to write music. And I think it kind of gave a slow a first gear type of thing to where you had to be more intricate and pay more attention about what your music was portraying, what sounds you were making. You had the time because it wasn't about getting the next single out, getting the next single out. It was like, okay, and I got to sing for a whole whatever 1, 2, 3 months. So let me try this in the song. Let me try that in the song. Let me see if this will work. Let me see if that'll work. And I think from having to slow down in gear, I think we're going to come up with a good sound, better sounding music than what we've been experiencing.
So from the time you guys started and you put out your first album to the third album, which was really the main album that everybody started to get to know Klymaxx from, I guess my question to you is that did you guys at some point feel like we don't want to do this anymore? This is just taking too long. I'm frustrated. Were you ready to give up at that
time? Well, let me tell you my story because I don't know about the other girls, but my story is like when there was such a long pause between the second and third album, I really thought that it was pretty much over because I didn't know there was going to be a second album. I'm sorry, a third album, because it was taking so long. I didn't know if they were going to actually release an album or not. because a lot of the music hadn't been finished yet, so there was this kind of lagging behind. So, I'm a responsible adult and I got to have some income. So I had to get a job. I had to get a real
I know that's right.
to pay bills. So I had went and got this, I don't know, some kind of accounting job. And one day I turn on the radio, or the radio was on, and I hear, and the next song is the Men All Pause from Climax. I'm like, what? I had
What?
that the machine was still working in our behalf because
Okay.
wasn't really, saying, well, yeah, this is going to happen, because they didn't want to keep going back and forth. Is this going to work? This is not going to work. And all of a sudden, I'm sitting at a job that, I've committed to working 40-hour week, and I'm hearing my record on the radio. So all of a sudden, my whole life, made a left turn. It's like, then I had to go to the employer and say, I'm giving my 2-week notice because I'm going on tour. It's like, you just got me.
Wow. That was such an awesome story right there. With the success of the third album, now let's talk about that and tell us who was your writing team. Who were some of the writers and producers on that album?
I'm not going to remember all of them, but I will say, like I said, Stephen Shockley and Otis Stokes was on there. If I remember correctly, Jimmy and Terry contributed a song. I could be wrong, but I think they did on that album. There was a few of the songs that, us as Climax contributed onto the album. And then there was a couple other songs where some of the other writers at Solar contributed. So it was kind of a hodgepodge. It wasn't any one particular place. It was just kind of a collection of a lot of songs that were contributed.
Now, which songs did you actually write on, and tell us what your inspiration from those songs were?
Well, like I said, the first song, Never Underestimate, I wrote. On the second album, there was a song called Heartbreaker. I don't think there was anything on the third album. On the fourth album, I was part of a writing part with a song called Danger Zone. On the fifth album, I pretty much wrote probably 5 or 6 of those songs. So altogether, Climax had 5 albums.
Oh my gosh. Tell us about the fourth album, Climax. Now the third one was what, in 84-ish, and then Climax came 2 years later. Tell us about that album and where you guys were headed at that time regarding as far as the entire group was concerned.
Well, the fourth album entitled Climax, we nicknamed it the Pink and Black album. We were actually able to be part of or be more involved in the production of it. The producing part of the album, and also writing. Like I said, it was kind of a hodgepodge of everybody contributing some of the music on those albums. So it was a how do I say? I don't say it was a different step in being part of the production. We even had one of the songs called "Sexy" that was co-produced by George Clinton. So I mean, it was like a mixture of a lot of writers where we could actually go in and co-produce also, some of the songs like that. So like, each album we gained a level of professionalism where we could contribute more and more to the album.
Okay. What song off of that particular album was your favorite one out of the Climax, Climax album?
Divas Need Love Too. That's my all-time favorite song. Out of all the Climax songs, Divas Need Love Too is my favorite. And
tell us why. Now, go ahead, play a little bit if you want. Go ahead. Nice, nice. Now, with the success of I Still Say Yes, who was the writer behind that?
Oh,
Think you have a connection to Indianapolis here, right?
yeah, yeah. Actually, Babyface wrote that song, and that he wrote it during the time he was with the Deal, and the Deal was also on Solar Records.
Nice, nice. Did you guys have any artist development, or was it just like I remember you saying that you guys had to learn the business? So was that part of what you guys had to do?
Well, as a group, we never did have any artist development, but a couple of the other girls, they went on to do their own projects and also work with other artists.
Now I'm gonna again confess here, confession. Um, doing my research, I totally forgot about the song "Sexy,"
Oh yeah,
and I was like, oh my gosh, I totally forgot about this. Sexy, that's what they call me. I was like, what? Oh man. Okay, I'm just gonna let you know I'm gonna be bumping that in the future. We all need to be doing that sometime. Sometimes the hairstyles back then. Oh, tell us, how did you guys deal with that?
well, again, I mean, it was during a time period where um, they, fashion was very creative. There wasn't a norm. There was kind of an open door to try things. So,
Mhm.
yeah, the hairstyles with the spiked hair and all of that was, fun. It was like, trying to make fun type styles and doing things that, regular people, 9 to 5 people wouldn't try to do. So we had the opportunity to, let's just try this. And, the colors, there was a lot of bright colors during that time period. And there was an area in West Hollywood, California, where they have all these uh, fashions, with different colors and styles. And so we would kind of go down. It's called Melrose. We would go down Melrose and just go through the stores and find something that would kind of fit everybody's personality.
Yeah, because it definitely was a fun era. I saw the videos. You guys had so much fun. You can tell you had so much fun. And who were your stylists back then?
We all contributed to it. I mean, a lot of times, we would refer to, the lead vocalist or the drummer. They kind of, were more risky or risque in some of the fashions. And we say, well, I like this, and they say, oh, okay, let's try it. So we kind of all gave each other inspiration and criticism as far as if it would or wouldn't work. I mean, I remember wearing an outfit on stage, and all I wore was 2 pantyhose, and that was all I wore for my pants.
Are you for real? No, no. But was it a jacket and two pantyhose at least? Oh wow. Hmm. Okay. Well, I ain't gonna lie. Go ahead.
Yeah. But yeah, that's why just the 2 pantyhose and a jacket. That was it. We were just really risky about the whole fashion, what to wear on stage, and it would be acceptable because we were on stage.
That's right. You were performing.
Right.
Now I'm gonna say this. We are getting really close to the time where it's gonna end. So we're gonna have to do a part two. So if it ends, we're gonna come right back on, guys. I am enjoying my interview with Miss Cheryl Cooley, one of the original members of the legendary R&B funk all-female band Climax. Miss Cheryl Cooley,
Yeah.
how many guitars did you get through, and how do you keep your nails done?
Oh, I can't have nails and play guitar. I gave that up a long time ago. I'm not sure how many guitars I have. I think five, three. I forgot. I haven't counted lately.
Well, that's not bad. That's honestly not bad. Going through them many years,
Yeah, but see,
you
that's
know.
my favorite. And I also had the same guitar, electric guitar I had when I was in high school. So that was, really, expensive now because it's so old. So,
Now, when you're on stage, and I'm again, I get nervous a lot until I'm ready to get in my zone. Do you ever, or have you ever had a concern with being nervous or stage fright?
I've always got stage fright. Always.
Really?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Interesting.
And
Interesting.
the stage fright for artists is us being harder on ourselves than we need to be. Because I mean, when I'm on stage and I'm playing guitar, I'm thinking, oh, did they see I missed that first chord? You know, ooh, but I do, you know. But yeah, I always get stage fright when I get on stage. Always.
Nice. Well, I don't want to say nice as in yes, but no, I truly understand. It doesn't matter what camera I'm in front of. I'm nervous no matter what.
Yeah,
I'm a Virgo. I'm a perfectionist.
yeah,
And so, like you said, as an artist, you want to make sure that nothing goes wrong.
right,
But
exactly.
you are the first one that knows if something's going wrong as well. It's like, ah, now, around that time, on your fourth, fifth album, in between that, what happened with Climax?
Well, right after the fourth album, the Pink and Black album, as we call it, a couple of the girls felt like they wanted to move on to their own solo career. Uh, you know, the 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 group, wanted to convince them that they could do both. You can do the solo part, but you still need to participate in the faction that is giving you the success, giving you the prosperity. You don't want to cut off your prosperity lifeline to go do a solo project, and you're not going to have the same level of success. But a lot of times, people whispering in your ear or your ego or whatever you want to call it will cause some artists to just kind of cut their nose despite their faces at what they would say, and just cut off the main thing that's garnering them the success and the finances. So they went on to do their solo project, and it didn't make the same success that Climax as a whole did. Even the group, Climax, the ones that were left, we tried to continue the legacy and move on, but then we ran into the 90s. Being a live all female band wasn't popular anymore. Then came in the program music and singing to track and playing live just had been outdated. So those two factors really kind of busted the whole thing apart.
That is actually one of the things I was going to ask you. How did you guys make that transition? Because of you just said it, because the urgency or the need or the demands of the live bands were being phased out. And so, like you just said, it's becoming more track. Because I also noticed that on your the fifth album,
Uh-huh.
the Max is Back. I
Yeah.
noticed it seems like once you guys had separated and some group members left, but then also going into that period of the music, I noticed that a lot of the tracks started coming into play.
Yeah.
So, am I correct at that observation?
Yeah, yeah, the sound of the '90s kind of came in with the tracks and the samples and stuff. So we want to keep our audience interested. So we tried to change with the time. But again, it wasn't even so much the music because the song "Good Love" was a big hit. I mean, I think it made number three or number four on the charts. But the whole idea of a band getting up there and not just some singers and a DJ, that was more popular when the '90s came. So I mean, it was like one day our distributors MCA just cut 17 artists off the roster, and we were one of them.
Wow.
The time
Did
just
they give you any warning?
huh?
Did they give you any warning?
No, I got a phone call. You are no longer signed to MCA Records. Have a nice day. Click. It was just like that.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Wow. Wow. Good love. I'm glad you brought that up because that was going to be the next thing. I actually enjoyed that. Now, were y'all really in all different color schemes? Or Like, did you have, because it was very colorful. Let's just say that it was very colorful. You had like a red, a yellow, green, and you guys seem like you had a lot of good fun in that video.
Yeah, yeah. When you have green screen and TV, you can make the background anything you want.
Hmm.
But
Hmm.
we didn't have to change our outfits into the different colors. The backgrounds change with technology, but the clothes that we wore, we had to change into those different colors.
Okay, okay. And I also read something where Universal Music Group, did you guys lose your masters? Did you guys have an issue with your masters being destroyed back when they had that fire? Did
Uh,
your masters get caught up in that?
I have no information on that. I mean,
Okay.
I,
Okay.
I had no idea.
Well, and that's why I wanted to make sure before I just wanted to know because it said that Universal Studios they had a fire back in 2008 and there were a lot of groups masters destroyed in that fire.
Now, are they talking about music? Or are they talking about film?
It said Universal Music Group. There was a fire. Universal Studios. So yeah, actually it did say that. It says destroyed the masters. 118 to 175,000 masters were destroyed.
And
Yeah, yeah.
that's
I tell you what, Miss Cheryl Cooley, let's go ahead. Let's go ahead. We're gonna end this and I'm gonna come right back on and I need you to request me right back again. So we're gonna finish and do part two, okay?
hey, sure.
All right, guys. So guys, make sure if you're on here, come right back, okay? So tell us a little now I had I'm a little bit of an observer. So it seems like from you guys' I think it was the second album and some of the like I believe was I Miss You. Did you guys reuse some of the scenery locations? Your second album, I believe it was it was the Never Underestimate the Power Over Woman. You guys seem like you were in like a big studio with a picture window or something back there. And then when you were in I Miss You and Good Love, excuse me, not Good Love video. Oh my gosh.
Talking about the video.
It just seems like you guys had utilized the same office spaces to shoot videos. Did you guys do that or just happen to be, it just looked that way?
I mean, it's possible, but I don't think so. But
It just looked that way. So I was like, well, okay, okay. Sometimes you have to recycle
yeah,
things,
I mean, and it's
So I just want
what they look like on the inside and the outside, but I just can't place the location. But they were.
okay. All right. So after your fifth album, where were you at mentally? And this is the Max is back. Where were you at mentally?
You mean before the group was dropped or during the album recording?
Well, during at the time when the Max is back came out into the transition of your sixth album, where were you at mentally? Were you at the point where, oh, we got to now try to keep up with this new music and the group had disbanded? Where were you at mentally at that time?
I'll have to say I wasn't quite ready or prepared to accept the '90s music or the style of music. I mean, after all, I'm an instrumentalist. The whole uh, um, having the what do you call them? Pushing the buttons and having the little I can't even think what you call them now. But anyway, it was new for me. It wasn't picking up an instrument. It was all about technical manipulation. So I wasn't
Okay.
prepared for that. I just didn't see it coming. So it felt like an insult, I guess. I spent all these years studying music, and then I get to a point where all of that was for naught. You know, People were coming up that didn't even know, what a middle C was. And even I had training writing complete scores. Um, so it I wasn't prepared. I don't know if you could ever be prepared for something like that. You know, when the music industry changes, sometimes you're not prepared. Sometimes you aren't sure where to fit in. I guess is really what I was, because when the samples came in, it was like, well, somebody at some point really put their hard-earned creativity to make, those 5 seconds or those 10 seconds, and here you are using that in something that you manipulated as music to make more money off of. But that person who wrote that sample, 20, 30 years ago, they really had to pull that from their creativity. And now here you come as a new artist, you can't write your own. That part really hurts. You know, I understand it. I understand how that can make for a more exciting song or song quality. But there has to be a certain level of respect for the artist that originally wrote that song. There has to be a level of respect for the song itself. There has to be a level of respect for the listener or the person buying the song. If you're not putting in good music that can be performed 30 years from now, you're not writing a good song. You're cheating your audience. I mean, you could have never told me 20 years ago, 30 years ago, that I was going to be playing the same song on stage today. We're going to be still paying their hard-earned money to hear a song that they've heard dozens of times before. But that also goes for the fact that it's a good song quality, and your paying customer still wants to see and hear you play that song. If you're writing a song now that has a one-line melody, da 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 da, yeah, it sounds good right now. Yeah, people are probably paying money for that, whatever their 99 cents download. But 30 years from now, that song is probably going to sound boring. I'm guesstimating. Maybe it's exciting, but you're cheating your audience. Give them a good sound quality melody line. Give them some ups, some downs, some inflections. Oh, and please sing in tune. That is my pet peeve. People don't sing in tune. What is that? I mean, I hear some attitude. Oh, that's my pet peeve. When I hear attitude, I want to take a knife and cut the radio. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, but I honestly feel the same way. As a patron and a lover of music, when I spend my money, I want to go see a show. I don't, if I want to see, or better yet, if I want to hear music that you're just going to go on stage and you're going to lip sync to, I can stay at home. You don't get my money, and I save some money, and I can party and jam out all night long the way I want to. But I expect, right, I expect as a patron, I want to see a show. And give me more than just walking up and side by side, side by side. Give me a show, which is why I so much enjoy live bands, because I can act like I'm a guitarist. I can act like I'm a drummer. I'm a dancer, so I look at the dancers.
Yeah. Yeah.
I get everything in a live show, which is why I love live shows. And I can't stand the auto tunes. Let me be honest. Now, it's okay if you put a little bit of auto tune on it, but don't tune it so much that you're really not singing and you're hiding behind the fact that you can't sing. That's how I feel.
I agree. I totally agree. I totally agree. It's cheating your audience. It really is. Yeah, you might get by, and maybe you make a couple of $1,000, $10,000. For every play you get maybe 9 cents, and you got to divide it up with everybody that's involved. So I'm just saying, well,
That's great.
maybe you get $1. I don't know, but you're still cheating your audience. I mean, songs that were written 10 years ago. I mean, can you even really name them anymore without looking at a chart? You know, so you want to write a song, you want to perform a song that people are going to remember. People want to pay their money to see you perform 5, 6, 7 times. I mean, I've ran into people that have come to see my show like more than 5 times. It's like, aren't you tired of this? And it's like, no, we love it. So you want that kind of audience. You want that kind of audience loyalty. You want those type of people that are gonna, buy your every song, buy your merchandise, buy your concert tickets, and come see you when you're signing autographs, or whatever it is that you're, really trying to market yourself with. You want those kinds of those kinds of things. You want those kinds of supporters. You don't want to just write a song that, for a good 3 minutes is a good booty shaking song, and then you forget what was that song again? What was the name of it?
Now, on your sixth album, you guys between all that time, you guys had some transitioning of some original members going in and out. So on the sixth album, Joyce came back, correct? I think that was the
Yeah,
day one
yeah.
album.
What happened was she kind of took a shot at trying to get the band back together, but you know, everybody wasn't interested. I think she got a couple of the girls to participate as far as recording, but to get us all together to actually get on stage, there just wasn't the momentum. And again, it was the 90s. And the 90s still wasn't ready for a female band. It just wasn't going to happen.
Because that was like more of a hip hop
Yeah.
album, and that definitely did sound like it's a different. I'm just gonna say it was a different transition. Listening
Yeah. I mean,
to it.
all of us weren't involved in the writing and the production of it. She just kind of put a hodgepodge of things that she felt, were going to sell. But, I mean, the loyal listening audience for Climax is expecting a certain level of writership, of musicianship, of composer, artistry. And if it's not there, they're not going to put their money into it because they're going to immediately say, "Well, it doesn't sound like the menopause."
And see, I'm glad you brought that up because when you're at a certain level of success, do you find that it's a lot of pressure to try to repeat that success?
I'm going to say no because if it's truly your artistic level, you can do it over and over again.
Mm.
But you have dry spells. I'm not going to say that it doesn't happen. Just like I said, being an artist, being a creative, you're always on that line of good, bad, no, yes, I'm good today, I'm not good today. I'm happy, I'm sad. So I'm not going to say there isn't points where there are dry periods, but if it's really truly your passion and your artistic expression, level, ability, uh, artistry. I mean, if that's it, you can always come back to it or center back to it, or it will be there. It may not be there today, but it's there. If that artistry, that creativity, that music, that painting, that I don't know, whatever it is that you make, that house, if it's in your creative being, it'll always be there till you take your last breath. I mean, it doesn't matter age, it doesn't matter, I'm going to even say physical ability. If it's in you, it wants to come out. It's going to come out. And if it doesn't, if you don't allow it to come out, it's going to come out in other destructive ways. I mean, for some musicians that I'm not going to mention any names, but there's some old school artists out there. They didn't get the chance to go out and do that again, so they took another route of being self-destructive.
Mm-hmm.
For any artist, new artist, if there's a way to express your talent, your ability, you've got to do that because it's going to come out in some other ways that may not be too cute.
That's right. That's right. Music is your passion,
Yeah,
as mine.
right.
I live, breathe, eat, sleep it. And um, if you weren't doing music today, what would you be doing?
Well, what you probably don't know about me is I actually was an electrician for a while.
Shut up. Hey, I'm all for women doing things to make sure that they're independent. So tell me about that.
The time period when Climax didn't have a record deal and we weren't touring on the old school scene. Um, I actually became an electrician. I mean, I did the whole apprenticeship thing, going to school, learning trigonometry, getting on the construction site with my tool belt and my pink hard hat.
Shut up. Shut up.
Yeah, and I was an electrician for I don't know about 10 years, and I learned skills of how to build a house, how to put the electricity in the house, how to go from the service cap all the way to the plug in your house. Now, it sounds like that was separate or a detour from music. But what was interesting for my life is, being an electrician, learning all that I learned. One day there was a knock on the door. I'm just, I'm being, how do I say, animated, but really, it was like a phone call, really. And all I heard on the other line, hey, why don't you get Climax back together and do some old school tours, And here I am, an electrician, and somebody's calling me up talking about doing music again. I'm gonna get back to the electrician part, but you just never know what life is gonna throw at you, right? So because
That's right.
of the skills that I learned as an electrician, I built my own rehearsal room on my house. So the two still married each other together. Yes, I still have my pink hard hat, even though I may not be on the construction side.
Oh, wow.
Still all part of the divine plan. It was still all part of elements that needed to happen for Climax to do, the old school tours again. So yeah, in the rehearsal room, I have a bar, I have a disco light.
Nice. Nice. Well, you want to make it comfortable,
Right.
right?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, because even sometimes rehearsal, hee hee and ha ha, we've been known to be in there till 4 o'clock in the morning, still, chopping it up.
Wow, wow. Well, after your sixth album and the transition, see, you guys survived the 70s, the late 70s, the 80s, the 90s, and we're in the 2000s. So tell us what happened after that. Somebody say, "Hey, do you want to tour?" Pick us up from there.
Yeah, so the reason why I got the phone call is because there's always been a running joke in the band that I still have the same phone number since they know have the same telephone number since they've known me. So that's why our old manager called me and said, hey, why don't you try to find the girls, get the girls together, and I can get you guys on some old school tours. So, I started calling around and, some of the phone numbers that I had and start asking different people, that knew us from back in the day. And I asked each one of them, hey, do you want to do these, old school tours, because there's an audience out there that wants to hear our music. And at first it was like, okay, that's okay idea. Now a couple of the girls definitely didn't want to do it, so we had to have auditions to replace them. So
Okay.
had the auditions, and I really feel like because it didn't feel like the '80s, what we were used to Climax feeling like. I mean, times were different, but all we know is what we knew, if that makes sense. And
Right, no, right.
yeah, and so since it didn't feel like that, I think the girls got discouraged. I think they really got discouraged. But just like I said before, sometimes I'm too naive to know to stop. So I'm too naive to know, pump the brake show is not going to work. So I just kept going. And so, I set up rehearsals and gave everybody the schedules. And then I started getting excuses. I'm too old. I'm too fat. I got too many kids. I don't think it's going to work. I don't want to do it. I don't want to quit my job. I got all these excuses, but I kept thinking if I kept going, that they would change their mind. And I got an opportunity to get, bookings for the band and stuff. And I'm thinking, okay, maybe if they see I have bookings, they'll want to do it. But that's not what happened because once I started getting the bookings and the notoriety, then the original girls got upset and started threatening to call their lawyers and stuff. But legally, we all equally own the name. There could be six different Climax bands and nobody could stop the other one. So I really wanted to continue the passion and the music for Climax. I mean, Climax is just has such a legacy to continue. I just couldn't imagine why they wouldn't want to continue it or do it or to share it with the listening audience. So I continued, and even as of today, I mean, I'm still up there performing as Climax, and I have some great female musicians up there that help me to really display the Climax songs. I mean, we've got great reviews. We've been doing it since I don't know 2012, 20 uh, 2002. We've been doing it since 2002. So, we keep getting hired. People keep showing up. And most of the times the audience is like, it's really just about the music.
That's right.
We're glad to see an original member, but once we hear the song, it takes me back to when I was, and then the stories go on and on and on. So I'm very appreciative that the audience is not freaking out because it's not all the original members, but once they hear the music, it's like they fall in love all over again.
Right, right. And I'm glad you mentioned that. Let's go back to the pink and black. What does that represent for Cheryl Cooley and Climax today?
Okay, well, the pink represents femininity and the black represents strength. So that's why we always had pink and black. That was always our color scheme and what that meant.
Now, working with all female from day one to now, I have heard a lot of people express in the business it is very, very hard to work with women. Now, you have already touched a little bit on the excuses, but from your point of view, how difficult or how easy, shall we say? You tell us what's your opinion about that. We're working with all females because we're all females. We all have different emotions and etc. Tell us about that.
Um, well, I'm not going to say it's been easy, but when you get past the fear of things in society, fear of things of how you look, fear of things of how you sound, fear of things of what you will and won't attain, fear of family, fear of society, all of the once you get past the fears, and even fear of jealousy. There are people, I mean, jealousy is its own category, but the fear of jealousy, realistically, is out there. Once you get past all that and you get to the musicianship of it, when you get to the purpose of why you're there for the music to express the legacy of Climax, then it's easy. But getting from that point past the fear to the reason why you're there, that's where the back and forth, the struggle, the tug of war does happen. Yeah, it's been let's see, it's been an adventure.
Okay. Okay.
I'm not going to say it was easy, but I don't want to say it was hard because I really believe that there is a divine purpose for it to happen. And that's why when things fall apart, better things fall together. So, it's kind of a twofold answer, but I really feel if you believe and have the passion and the um, goodness of heart, I think things will really open up. Even being all female, if you all have the same agenda, the same passion, the same goal, things will work themselves out. Yeah, you have those times of the month when you want to scratch everybody's eyes out, but that's just a phase. Yeah, you have those moments when you got to go take your cousin Boo Boo to the grocery store or whatever. That's fine. When you have a common goal, when you have a common passion, when you have a common direction, all of those tug of wars, all of those discrepancies, all of those anger moments, they will dissipate. Truly, they will.
With everything going on, the music industry is lacking a lot of our women, our talented women artists. There are no more female groups. What's your opinion as to why we don't have as many as we did?
Well,
I'm sorry, but I can't. I don't know a female group right to this day.
well, and see, that's what I was going to ask you. Like, are there any? Because it seems like the female groups, they stopped coming around, oh, I don't know, what, 2010, 2005? I mean, it's all about the solo artist now. Everybody wants to be a solo artist. So, yeah, group. I mean, I've seen guys singing groups kind of get together, but I mean, it's far and few between. Everybody's got their solo project. I want to do my solo project. I just, and it's just more of that now. I mean, I don't know. Maybe
Which is why it's important that Climax continue to still do what they do, because
it's just,
not only you guys, first of all, are legendary and you're still around, you're still doing it. Whether it's individually, the Climax name is still living on regardless.
yeah,
And you guys are representing so much more than just females.
yeah,
You're like the only bands and groups that are still out there.
yeah.
What
You're right.
I am so interested in the older music coming back, the 80s and the 90s coming back. And it's that time that we start bringing that music back. So number one, I'm gonna be honest. I have never seen Climax in person, but I know once this is all over, I most definitely am going to come to a concert. Describe to me, because I'm going to meet you one day. Tell me what that day is going to be like. Because I know we got that same spirit. We love music. We're fun. Tell me describe a day with Miss Cheryl Cooley would be like for me. Me.
Okay, well, first of all, we're both Midwestern girls. That's one thing we got in common because I'm from Chicago.
Shut up. Okay. Okay. Chicago representing. Come on.
Um, okay, so what I would have you do is meet us for sound check. You're going to see that, yeah, everybody comes to me for an answer, I guess. But I have a staff that helps me. I have a road manager, I have a stage manager, I have a sound man. I have a crew that helps me put all this together. Then you'll find that the girls in the band, they are funny as hell.
Okay. Okay.
They keep me laughing. They keep me entertained. If I get stressed out about something that's going on as far as production, they'll do something or say something to just make me, forget the stress and start falling out laughing about them. So
Mhm.
I try to make it fun. I try to make it fun for them, for me, for the crew. But yes, there is a task at hand. Now, there's plenty of food backstage, so we'll probably be snacking all day.
Give me some fruit. Give me some fruit.
Now I'm not I don't really drink. I mean, a beer every once in a while, but I don't do the whole alcohol thing. So there might be some spirits back there, but I can't promise you that.
Well, I think you and I are both really, we don't need any spirits. We are high on life regardless. So I could take a mimosa though, but this is just orange juice. Actually, this is pineapple juice. This is my fault. Pineapple juice. But go ahead. Okay, so we got sound check going on.
Yeah, so
We got some food.
sound check, especially if it's a show that has other old school artists, I'm excited to see them, because it's like old friends getting together. Somewhere along the line, we've run into each other. So I'm gonna drag you along, and we're gonna see, who knows gonna be there. I don't know, Zap, or SOS band, and we're just gonna go and this is Candy Green. See my friends.
We're just gonna live it up and enjoy the great music.
Right. Then we're gonna watch the sound check. Sound check really is boring, but hey, yeah, we'll watch the sound check. He and ha, change numbers with people. And then we go backstage and then Climax has a sound check and tweak or whatever is gonna go on. Usually we're last, but that's okay. I'm not gonna say they do that because we're girls, but I did say that because we're girls.
Now I'm gonna tell you what. Now I don't know if you know anything about me, but I have worked with a few promoters here in Indianapolis, Indiana, where I do the same thing with the sound checks. I make sure that the artists are escorted to and from stage and off stage, etc., making sure that the security area doesn't have anybody coming in. So I might not be just standing there having a good time. I might just have to throw my expertise in and get in there and work for you. So I'm just gonna let you know. So there you go. You got an extra person.
Yeah. Now, one of the things that we like to do sometimes, if we're there long enough and the crowd or the audience starts to line up outside, sometimes we'll go outside and greet people. Just, we're not ready yet, but hey, they're there to stand in line to pay for the ticket to go to the show. Why not just go ahead and say, hey, or even if we're driving away in the van or the limousine, all you gotta do is just wave and acknowledge people. That's all they really want, and that's as exciting for us as it is for them. Because like, oh, you're coming to see me.
Right.
You're excited, So then we go back to the hotel and we get ready, we get dressed, all of that good stuff, and hee and ha. Maybe there's enough time to get dinner, maybe not. It depends on the timing of the day. And we go backstage, go back to the venue, go backstage and wait for our time to get on stage. But again, it's like camp. It's like we're going to camp. Fun. And,
Okay.
it's really about having fun, and seeing people that because sometimes, if we go to the East Coast, there's going to be people there we haven't seen in a while. Because since we're on the West Coast, we're kind of isolated. And, we're excited to see people that, live on the other side of the Mississippi.
Okay. I listen. I'm a people person, so I have a problem with meeting people. I love meeting people.
Yeah. And then, getting on stage and the energy from the audience, we just want to put on a good show. We're having fun. We want the audience to have fun. We get them to participate in some of the songs. It's all about having fun. Everybody wants to have fun for at least an hour in their life. Why not? Now with the social distancing, I'm not sure how the audience is going to do.
Oh man, I tell you, that's the hardest thing right now with music and everything else is going on because I'm a person that if I get an opportunity to be able to meet the artist, I'm gonna do that. But then it's now with everything going on, how is that even gonna affect everything?
Yeah, I mean, we've had a couple of shows rescheduled because of the pandemic. So I'm not sure when we're going to perform again, and we may not perform again until next year. So and that's unfortunate because we were really looking forward to 2020 being the year for all the shows and stuff like that. But I mean, once we do the show and we get off stage, our energy is really spent. And that's what a lot of people don't understand. When you get off stage, a lot of people want to run backstage and do this and do that and get your picture, and you're really, really tired. You're really tired. You've spent a lot of energy on stage, and you do, as an artist, you do all you can to try to stay hyped for them, but inside you're like, I can barely take my life. I just want to sit down. And so finally, when you get that alone moment, you get to decompress. You get to finally, just get all of that out. And sometimes it takes a little time to, just decompress, get yourself together. Maybe you have to change clothes and get back in that van or limousine to go back to the hotel. And a lot of people again think that you want to do some more partying, and you might, but most of the time you just want to rest because all of that their day started when they got to the show. An artist's day started as soon as they opened up their eyes that morning for the day of the whole show. I mean, the whole day of that show. And people don't realize that their 4 hours has already been 24 hours for us. So, you have to juggle whether you're going to, go out and mingle, or even see family members, or are you going to stay in your hotel room and rest? Because more than likely, you got to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning and jump on that plane to go back home, or jump on that bus to get back to wherever your next state is. So there's a lot going on before and after the show that a lot of people don't realize. But as an artist, you've got to keep yourself together and going. You you've got to stay healthy, you've got to stay energetic, you've got to stay engaged, because those people are there to see you, and they may only see you once in a lifetime. For them, they have lived for that moment. For an artist, you're trying to hold it together. You're trying to get it for them.
It's like, right, and you don't want to say no, because ultimately your supporters are the best. They want that opportunity, so you try to get that oomph in you to be able to sign an autograph or talk or whatever it may be. Tell us about the new Climax with Cheryl Cooley. Tell everyone who's in the group, their band members.
Yeah. Well, okay. On drums we have Tramisha Vaughn. On keys we have Matt Daniek. On vocals we have Christy Malone and Celeste. Oh my God, I can't believe her last name. Help me out. I expect that. And Vashti Steinbish on huh? Oh, Celeste Butler on vocals. So we have Chris Malone and Celeste Butler on vocals. We have Vashti Steinbish on bass and Cheryl Cooley on guitar. So yeah, I mean we have a lot of fun together. We have, and they understand the legacy of Climax. To bring it all together and put it on stage. And I really appreciate their participation and their patience and their understanding. I mean, because there's some promoters out there. You want to get your night out. I'm sorry.
That's okay. Go ahead.
Out there, I've had to kind of hold a couple of them back because they don't handle business too well. It's like, no, we can't beat them up. We gotta get paid.
Trust me, I already know, because I'm an event planner and coordinator, so I already know that there are some, let's be honest, some janky promoters,
Yeah.
and or just some promoters that really don't understand the process.
Yeah.
Let's just put it that way.
Yeah. I mean, they think, they a lot of times they think you're up there for fun, but you're up there because that's your job. That's where you make your living. That's where you supply for your family. And a lot of promoters think, you play for $10. No, I can't play for $10. I can't play for $10 so you can make $100,000. So yeah, there's a lot of that where I've had to kind of keep the band from annihilating a promoter. Because they are very protective of Cheryl Cooley, and I appreciate that. But I don't want to have to bail anybody out of jail either.
I already know. And you guys have a couple of new songs. Tell us about that.
Okay, so we have a song called For a Woman, and it's a woman's anthem. It's like, it talks about women being in all levels of workforce, entertainment, supporting her family, leading a corporation as well as leading a company. So it's about women's participation in society itself. So it's called For a Woman. And then we have a song called Love Me, which is kind of a sultry ballad kind of thing when you're telling the guy, I'm doing all these things in life. All I need for you to do is love me, without a whole bunch of, agendas or whatever. Just let me live my life and love me.
Now, I've listened to both of those songs, and I have to tell you, For a Woman right now is an important song.
Yeah.
Because of everything that's going on. I envision things. And so my thought for that would be, for that particular song, and you put a video together with a lot of our women, you just said it, that are in positions,
Yep.
powerful positions.
Yep.
Miss Obama.
Yep.
Keisha, I don't remember what her middle name is, but Bottoms, the mayor in Atlanta. The young lady, and Tamika Mallory.
Yeah.
The young lady that's the activist. I'm thinking about listening to your song and just having your song play in the background with several women, especially current now. And that's it. That's the song. Those are the people who I see represent your song.
Yeah.
So that's just something I was just thinking about, as an idea for maybe helping to promote the song For a Woman and just dropping that in there.
Sure.
And, hey, I don't worry about the rights or anything. I just want to give that to you for free, okay? Because it's just me, and that's how I like to do.
Oh, yeah. 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 And song for the awareness of breast cancer too. So, look for that next year. We're going to be doing a tour for the breast cancer awareness and actually using that song also.
Oh, wow, that's nice. And you know what? That's another thing because we're talking about the pandemic and everything like that. Usually here in Indianapolis, that's my first 5K walk is the breast cancer walk, and that's usually in April, and that's when everything started
Yeah.
happening here. Our lockdown was what, March the 23rd. And so I'm like, dang, I couldn't get that first walk in, but that's usually my first walk, my first 5K walk. And I love going to the breast cancer walks. Um, Now, Love Me. Now that's kind of similar to an older Climax song.
Okay.
If You Love Me, and it just so happens that you guys have that same four words in that song, Love Me.
I
How did
didn't know that. Wow. Okay. Okay.
what?
It was
You didn't know that?
intentional. Wow. Okay. Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, and I was just wondering if that was some kind of connection there because your current song is called Love Me, and then you guys as Climax had an original song called If You Love Me, but then I'm listening to the current song Love Me, and you start out with saying If You Love Me. So I didn't know if that was some kind of connection between those two.
I had no idea. Wow. Okay. No, see, I gotta play both of them now.
Yes, yes. See, I told you I love music, so I kind of listen, and that's my first thing anyway.
Uh-huh.
Before the track, I listen to the words.
Okay. See,
I listen to the words.
I music, and somebody say, "Well, what was the song about?" I'll be like, "I don't know."
Can Where can I get that T-shirt at? Because I love that T-shirt. Where can I get it at?
Text me your address, and I'll send it to you.
Oh, well, thank you so much. I definitely will do that. And I'm glad you just mentioned something. Tell everybody how they can reach you, how they can book you, how they can follow you. Where can they find your new music?
Okay. Well, you can always find me out. Let me show you. Klymaxx.com. I don't know if that's Klymaxx.
I know when you're looking in the camera, it might be backwards or But
I mean, all of our information, all of our calendar, all of our social media, everything is on KLYMAXX.com. I mean, we're on Instagram at Climax Music, Facebook, Climax Music, Twitter, it's just Climax. Uh, what's left? YouTube at Climax Music also. All of that right there is on our website, and I truly invite all of your audience to please sign up for our newsletter on our website. It gives you the calendar where we're going to be, where you can get our music. You can even get our music off the website. But please sign up for the newsletter and just check out what we're doing. I try to keep it as up to date as possible, but with the pandemic, it's like, oh, I'm not sure what to write about right now.
I know, because that's one of the things that when that's all happened, I was like, what do I do? But now I start focusing more on how to elevate the candy show, and that's what I'm still doing because it's never going to end.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to definitely use this time as much as possible to do that. What exactly are you using? Go ahead, say it again.
Because actually, I intend to do this to my last breath. I'm going to always play guitar. Hopefully, I'm going to always have an audience to come see Climax Music. This is really my passion, and that's my intention is to really do it until I'm going to be like UB Blake was on the piano, and die right at the piano. I'm going to be right there on my guitar, taking my last breath.
So is there anything that we have not covered that Miss Cheryl Cooley, you want to let everybody know about Climax featuring Cheryl Cooley?
I really think we've covered everything. I just want to, thank your audience. Thank you to all the fans for continuing to support me and Climax. That to me is just so. I just so appreciate it so much. Just to see the people out there in the audience. Like I said, I get excited because they're excited. They're excited because I'm excited. I appreciate you having me on your show and being my first Instagram experience.
How was it? It wasn't that bad, was it?
Not bad, I'm looking at myself. It's like, oh, maybe I better move this way. Oh, wait a minute.
Yes.
Say something. What
Actually, I'm glad you said that. Can you do us a favor? Can you take us out with some of your favorite tunes off of your guitar?
well, okay, so it's always gonna be music. I don't have the vocals. Sorry, I just do the music part. So, I'm gonna do a little bit of medium laser. How's that?
Okay, go ahead.
Okay.
All right, guys. This is Miss Cheryl Cooley, Climax. Yes, thank you so much. Miss Cheryl Cooley, I thank you so much again for allowing me to have this time to come into your world. And hopefully soon we'll be able to actually meet face to face and we can actually jam together. I'm gonna have my air guitar, just want to let you know. So thank you so much again. One more time, Miss Cheryl Cooley, tell everybody how they can reach you.
Okay, you can reach us at Klymaxx.com. That's KLYMAXX.com. You can catch us at Instagram here at Klymaxx Music, Klymaxx Music on Facebook, Klymaxx Music on YouTube, and just Klymaxx on Twitter. We're on Instagram. We're on all social medias. Please sign up for our newsletter on Klymaxx.com.
All right, guys, thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of The Candy Show. And guys, we will see you later. Bye-bye. Stay safe. But most of all, I said most of all, I want to thank you, my audience. Come on back. I said come on back. Come on back.
Kick it. It's Candy. She's just so candy. It's Candy.